Hi, and welcome to our Jim2 webinar on security. A common thing that I hear when I talk to customers is that they don't know what they don't know. And as such, we'll be going right back to basics for each topic to make sure that you're all fully informed of each section. At the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A in which you can type any question you like into chat, and we'll either answer live or get back to you with an answer after our webinar. I also wanted to let you know that these webinars and other short informational videos are available in our Learning Resources Centre. You can find this on our website by going to www.jim2.com and then the Learning Resources section under Resources. Finally, before we get started, I wanted to thank everyone that filled out the survey ahead of this webinar. It was a great source of information about how our customer base uses security. So let's start on today's topic, Jim2 and security. Before we really begin, I wanted to give you an assurance. And that assurance is that our support team will assist you with any security related questions you have, but they will not set any security settings for you. At Happen, we consider the security of your system paramount, and to maintain this importance, we ensure that we do not facilitate changes to the security plans that have not been expressly permitted in writing by the owner of the business. For many of our customers, Jim2 is the center of their business. From keeping your financial information safe and accurate to ensuring that your jobs or quotes have the right info on them at the right time. The security in Jim2 is how you can be confident that the right people have access to the right information. To consider the security settings, we need to think about the users using the system. After all, what is a user account except a group of security settings? You may have security for each individual in your organization, or you may have yours based on security settings on roles or functions. But what's the best way to set this up? Should you create a new set of security for each worker that comes in, or are you able to use templates to help organize it? How can you know what security settings existing staff have? Let's start by looking in the security area in Tools and Security. We come in on the Security tab. We'll be spending a bit of time here later, so let's go to the next tab, By User, to get an idea of how security works in Jim2. In the left-hand pane, we have a list of users which you can select. Blunky. And on the right, we have the security options. The security settings have been grouped as per the different sections of the program to help you find the exact setting that you're looking for. This also affords you more options, as you may wish to have someone able to unprint a job, but not be able to unprint a purchase order. It's fairly straightforward in that if there is a tick, the user will be able to perform the actions, and if there's no tick, they will not. There are also filled boxes, which indicate that they're able to perform some, but not all of the actions inside of the subtree. We can see a little more clearly what I mean by the filled box if we take a look in the job section. Here we can see that Blunky is able to do a lot of things, but he's not able to edit others' job comments. He's not able to docket jobs or unprint docket jobs. And if we have a look in the invoice section, he's not able to unprint invoices. By setting Blunky's security settings to allow him to perform his role, while restricting things outside of his role, we can be sure he's only performing work that he has access to. We can also be sure that he'll not be able to interfere with anyone else's work. Now, because Blunky is a particularly low-level worker, these security settings will work well for his role. But how can we use the same settings on another worker that is in a similar role? Well, in Jim2, we have the ability to create security groups, which can apply a single set of security rules to many staff. In fact, Security groups are the only way to apply security in Jim 2. A couple of things to begin. I will let you know that you do need to be a user that's been authorized to use the security area. Usually the owner or other trusted staff will be included from the implementation, but if you have difficulty identifying someone in the business with this security, give our support team a call and we should be able to help out. Another thing you should know about security groups is that at least one must be applied to every Jim 2 user. This is a rule hard-coded into Jim 2 to ensure that no one can use Jim 2 without a level of security applied. To manipulate the security groups, we'll need to be on the first tab of the security window. The drop-down at the top of this window will let us know which security group that we're currently looking at. In traditional Jim 2 style, we have the add, delete, and edit buttons at the bottom of the window. If we click Add, we'll be able to name the security group with the cursor appearing in the drop-down field. Enter a name, and then you can select the settings that you'd like to have for this security group. This is where you'd probably spend most of the time. When you have them set as you want them, click Save, and the security group will now be selectable. To apply a security group to a user, we'll need to go to the user's card code. An easy way to find all of your user card codes is to go to Card Files and create a list, and then unselect everything except User in the Type column. Once we have a user selected or while it's being created, we'll only need to click on the User tab, and then, while in edit mode, select the security groups from which they should belong to. And you did hear me correctly, I did say groups as a plural. You have the ability to apply multiple security groups to a single user in Jim 2. Jim 2 will look at each security group and determine if one of them has the permission to perform a task. If one of the user's security groups has permission set to be allowed to complete a task, it will be allowed. To clarify, what I'm saying is that Jim 2 security is based on inclusion. Generally speaking, a user will not be able to complete a task until they've been given permission to do it. This permission, in the form of the security setting, will only need to be granted once, however, as one yes will counter all other security groups' no's. As a result, you may choose to base your security groups on functions that are needed within your business, rather than the individuals within it. In other words, you could have a security group for accounts receivable and another for accounts payable, perhaps one for dispatching goods and another for selling goods. So that was security groups. They are absolutely vital to maintaining a strong backbone of security throughout Jim 2. But what if you wanted to check out what permissions an existing worker has, or even all of your staff? How can you look at all of the security permissions at once? Let's head back to the security area and then select the third tab by group. Okay, so we can see a few groups of users available to us in the left-hand pane. By selecting individuals or users in the group, you're able to see and compare the security settings on the right-hand side. If you tick users at the top of the pane, you'll get everyone active or inactive that has ever been set up in your instance of Jim 2. If you only tick the active box, you'll have all of your active users display. The green tags at the bottom are the user groups that you may have set up. If you do, you'll be able to do a comparison of all users within that group. We'll tick active for the moment though. Now, remembering that a tick means that a user has permission for each entry under the headers, and a filled-in box means that some are allowed and some are not, we can start to take a look at the area panel. We can see some entries with ticks, but others are just filled in. The ticks in the area panel indicate that every user in this instance of Jim2 has full permission in those areas. If we expand the scheduling security permissions, we can see that every user has every rule ticked, and so the heading scheduling is also ticked. Jobs, on the other hand, is filled in. We can see that some rules are allowed and some are not. We can slide the screen to the right to see more users and see their set permissions. This can be a handy way to check groups of staff or all staff to ensure they have the permissions that you need them to have. If you prefer to use something like Excel when reviewing these kinds of settings, you are able to export these settings with all users as an Excel sheet. Be aware, however, that there is no ability to import security settings. So if you use Excel to view your security settings, any changes you would like will need to be made in Jim2. Okay, so let's talk reports. Security on reports comes up fairly often as a topic in our support team, and a few of you had asked in the pre-webinar survey too. While we've been looking over the security settings, you may have seen mention of the report level, status level, and price break movement down fields. Price break movement down can be a little tricky to explain, as there's only really there for when your staff are selling stock with multiple quantity breaks that you would like to restrict. So if you are using quantity breaks and would like to know how to use this security setting, please give our support team a call. In both the report level security and status level security, you're able to assign a number to the user or security group, and then also assign a number to your reports and status. These numbers will range from 1 being low security to 10 being high security. And if the number assigned to the user is equal to or higher than the number assigned to the report or status, they will be able to access it. For reports, this access means that they'll be able to generate the report. And for statuses, it means they'll be able to change a job to and from that status. For example, if we jump into the status area in Tools and Status, and then we select the Finish status, for example, we can see the security level here. If we increase this security level to level 5, it would mean that anyone with a status level of 4 or under will not be allowed to set a job to finish. In fact, they wouldn't even see the option. If the user had a status level of 5 or more, then they would be free to set any job to the finish status. This can be useful if you have some staff that only need to be part of the job's completion, or if your staff are in training and you'd like to review their work before it's finalised. In addition to the status's security level, you can also set a separate level for whomever you would like to have access to edit the statuses. To be clear, security level is to set a restriction on access to use the status, and then edit security level is to be able to adjust or edit the entries the statuses belong to. To adjust these on a security group, we can jump back into the security section. We'll pop to the groups and choose one and click edit. And if we adjust the status level here, that's where we can set it. We can do the same with the report levels. And then to set the report security levels, we'll need to go into the report designer, which is also found in the Tools tab between Scripting Engine and Global Variables. The report designer can be a little overwhelming if you haven't been in here before, so I'll only take you through what we need to know for today. The screen will default to showing you all reports that you have available to you in Jim2. There is a search bar towards the top of the window that will allow you to search the titles of reports. You also have the ability to filter or order by the security level column. If we click the column, it will organize from low to high, and another click will change it from high to low. If we hover the mouse in the column header, we'll notice a little filter symbol appear, which you can then use to only select the values you'd like to see. To change the security of reports, you'll need to right-click a report and then select Properties. A window will appear with a line labelled Sec Level as the security level. Enter the level that you would like to set it to, and then hit OK. That's it. You can perform these changes in bulk as well. Just like when we're using Windows File Explorer, we can also hold Shift to select a group of reports, or we can hold Control to select individual reports. Once we have a selection, we only need to right-click one of the highlighted reports and then click Properties. When we set the security level from this point, it will set it for all highlighted reports. Okay, so by now, you should be able to manipulate any security setting for any user in Jim2. But what about an overall plan for security? Where would we even start? It can be a bit tricky to give direct recommendations to such a wide audience, but I think we should be able to use some good security fundamentals to help your business. I would recommend that when you're creating these plans, you err on the side of being more secure, as you can always allow an action later on, but undoing an incorrect action could be a lot harder or more costly. Let's start by thinking about our business in terms of the roles that we have within it. There- associated. Therefore, we should be able to create a basic security plan by identifying the roles within our business and then determining what they need access to. But things aren't always that clear cut, right? Sometimes a salesperson needs to help in the warehouse, or maybe a bookkeeper needs to put through a sale. Well, after we've worked out the static roles that don't really change a lot, we can then look at the crossover tasks. It may be an idea to have each of the crossover tasks as being their own security group, as they can then be applied to whoever needs to complete that task on that day, and easily removed later if the access is no longer needed. Of course, if someone is performing crossover tasks regularly, then there's no harm leaving the security group permanently set to their card file. By using a backbone of security groups that align with the roles in your business, and then filling in around them with the crossover tasks based on security groups, you can ensure that you've covered all angles in your business. Actually, we have a bit of a download available for you today that you might find handy. We've completed an export of the security settings from Jim2 and have created a few basic security groups that you might find helpful. I will again mention that these settings cannot be imported, but having a template sure could be useful. Finally, the spreadsheet is intended as a guide only. We are happy to provide it for you to build upon or otherwise customize for your business, but it should not be taken as a plan that will work for every business. Taking a look at the guide, we can see the security settings on the left-hand side and our recommendations for their settings in the columns following. We've also highlighted rules that we feel can cause particular problems for your business if they're enabled for use. We'd recommend that very few people have access to the settings in red, as we'd consider them high risk for several reasons. I tried to capture some basic roles within a typical business and set security consistent with what I felt those roles might be doing. The first two columns, however, are a bit different. The first column is exclusively for high-risk settings. As I mentioned previously, these are settings that could cause real problems for your business if they were used improperly. I'd recommend that this set of permissions is only applied when you need to perform a task within them, and then remove those permissions after it's complete. This will help ensure that no one could accidentally cause an issue. The next column is a system required security group, and it's called administrators. I would recommend that no one has this security group applied to them. It has no restrictions whatsoever and can cause an enormous amount of problems if used improperly. After that, I've set up security groups for an accounts role, a sales role, and a service role. The accounts role is the least restricted, as they'll need a lot of access to financial records, as well as having the ability to add journals or anything else that they might need. The sales role is more tailored to being able to create quotes or leads and being able to perform return from clients. And the service group is probably the most restricted. It will allow staff to work on their own jobs, but reduces how much they can interact with other staff's jobs, and it restricts access for different areas of Jim2 also. We'll get that link up soon in the chat channel. Well, we sure have covered a lot today about security. We covered how to view individual security settings, how to compare security settings, how to set report and status level security, as well as how you can start building a security plan. Finally, I'd like to thank you for attending today. I'll leave some information on the screen about how you can get in touch with us. And now I'll hand over to Ian, who can answer any questions you might have about security. Thanks.
That was a great session, Ash.
Ian,
nice.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. I'll get that. I'll get the link to that download in the chat too. Have we had any questions come through?
Nothing that I can see as yet.
Not as yet. Well, we might hang around for a minute just in case anything pops in. Ian, is there a way that you think about security that might benefit our customers at the moment?
Well, one of the things you mentioned there was about that administrator group, and I'm sure that many Jim2 users or Jim2 company customers of ours would have people who are in administrator group and be thinking, well, I can do everything, so why not? The main reason we suggest you don't use administrator is because you have no restrictions. You can't be stopped from doing anything, even though it might not be a good idea for you to do it. So our recommendation is that you have very high level security, but you're able to have that group of high level different from the administrator group, being able to mark some things in there that maybe nobody should be able to do, or if they think they should, they'd have to actually go in and amend their own security to allow them. And I think a simple example of that is editing other users' comments on jobs, where I can't imagine a situation where I'm going to pretend to be you, Ash, and want to put in something and say you said it when it was me who did it. I don't think that helps the business. And so for that reason, it's a really good idea to leave everyone out of administrator so that they don't have that option.
Absolutely. I would even recommend, even with this group that, the groups that we've got here, is basing a group on the high risk settings and only using that. You wouldn't actually need the administrator account if you had a accounts account and then the high risk settings in this case.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think that by being able to have an exclusive group, if you like, which is your high risk setting, and have it sitting there and thinking, well, no one's a member of this unless I make them a member, is a really good way to approach those crossover things as well that you spoke about. So having people being members of multiple groups really works well to apportion responsibility.
Absolutely. Okay, we don't really have any questions coming in today. I hope that means that I've explained it all really well. So I don't know, I guess we could, sign off a little early. Yeah, cool. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for jumping on today. And yeah, keep an eye out for next month's webinar, and we'll see you all then. Thank you very much.